All right, everybody. What's going on? This is Chris Williams. You are tuned in to Grow Your Side Business Podcast. This is my segment every single Monday where we go live and we call it Massive Action Mondays. Here's my definition of massive action. My definition of massive action is those who execute above the average. And if you're here and you're watching this, that means I'm talking to you. So listen, my name is Chris Williams. I am someone who helps highly professional employees and ambitious employees grow and build their side business in a 5-day challenge. All right. So if you're an ambitious employee, you found the right spot where we're dropping tips, tricks, strategies, and giving a ton of information to be able to help you grow your side business. Okay. So in today's conversation, here's what I wanted to share. I've got a quick 4 things that you need to understand before you launch that business. Okay. This is before you launch that business. And I'm learning these things after having done so. And I wish somebody would have told me these 4 things before I got in, because it would have saved me a ton of emotional turmoil, a bunch of bad assumptions. And more importantly, I would have done a lot better in the very beginning, because I would have had what I like to call emotional regulation. Most people just don't have it. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And to do so, I got a little something I want to show you guys. All right. So here's the deal. The biggest key is this, y'all. And this is what you got to really understand. What you got to really understand is that when it comes to starting anything, I think it's so true when they talk about you should 80% plan and 20% execute. Now, there's a little danger in that, right? Because some people are always getting ready to get ready. They're not actually doing the thing. They do so much that they exhausted before they even start. What I'm saying is to you is that in order for your side business, in order for you to really be able to build out what's going to work, what's going to scale, what's going to get you that extra, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, $40,000 a month, you got to know a couple of things going into the game. All right. So I wanted to be able to show you these real quick, and then we're gonna get started. So let's dive in. Let's dive in. Okay. All right, here we go. So these are the 4 business basics, and I'm talking about these are like basic understanding. And if you already have a business, do me a favor. When you see these come across your screen down in the chat, just comment, because I'm sure when I go through these, you're going to be like, man, I wish I would have known that when I got started. All right. So here we go. So the 4 business basics. Okay. So the first one is this. The first thing you're going to learn is you're going to have to realize who you've been hanging out with the entire time. This is what, man, I could literally spend an hour talking about your network, relationships, and you've heard it before. But there's nothing like the realization of the people that you've been hanging with when it's your time to actually get something done. When you put a stake in the ground and say, I going this way. When you decide to give up your weekends, when you decide to give up your evening events, when you decide that, listen, me and my family deserve more income than this salary that we getting from the job. So you know what? I'm going to go build me something. You quickly realize the people that you are hanging around. And I got to tell you something. It is not a pretty sight for many of us. But there's something I want you to know about. Oh, sorry. For some reason, it's going further than I wanted to. The thing that I want you to know before you lose it and you go crazy and you're like, man, these people don't care about me and they ain't this and they ain't that. Here's what I want you to know. Okay. This is what I want you to know. The thing I want you to know is they're not wrong and neither are you. Okay. I'm serious. I want you to realize, and somebody put that down in the comments, they're not wrong and neither are you. Okay. Why is that important to understand? Because here's what I figured out. When you're starting that side business, the realization of who you've been hanging out with is a really ugly moment. Because for many of us, if we're honest, what we realize about the people we've been hanging out with, they're not really business minded at all. In fact, they're so consumer driven that that's the only thing they think about. They've never built something from scratch and had to learn how to sell it, having to learn persuasion, having to understand how to make a better product, having to understand marketing. They've never put their own money up to anything. They never even stood for anything in that context. They stand for their family and everything else. But my point is, this first revelation is, listen, they're not wrong, but neither are you. So what you have to do when you come to the realization of the people you've been hanging out with, just like most entrepreneurs figured out, wow, the people I've been hanging out with really aren't going that route. They really aren't trying to build anything better. It is okay. Don't get mad at your circle for that. Don't be upset with your mama because she didn't support you, your aunt, your friends, your coworkers, the people in the neighborhood who you just known for years. Listen, don't get upset with them. They're not wrong, but neither are you. What I mean is, they're not wrong for doing life the way they want to do it. Listen, you'll never change a person. People change for one reason and one reason only, because they want to. And so have you. So the point is that what you got to realize is that it does not matter what the product is, what the service is, just because you spent all night dreaming about it, just because you built a funnel and a website, just because you're talking about it, that does not obligate anybody around you currently to do the same. It doesn't. One of the greatest things I learned was a quote that I heard, that my dreams do not require your belief in them. And that's something I want you to think about. Okay? There's something I want you to think about. So there's number one. Number one is, from the 4 business basics, here's number one. You realize who you've been hanging out with this whole time. And just remember, they're not wrong and neither are you. All right? So let's see. I've got IG going on. What's going on, good people? Y'all getting some free game tonight. All right. Let's go to number 2, shall we? Here's number 2. All right. Number 2 is, I realized really quickly just how little I knew going into business. Listen, it's very hard to accept the fact that I don't know enough. I'm saying for a lot of us. For a lot of us, it's very hard to accept the fact that, you know what, I just don't know enough. I don't know enough. And here's the thing. It is totally within your grasp, within your understanding, is within your world to actually accept that and learn how to pivot. I don't mean accept that and walk away from your business or walk away from giving it your full capability. I'm going to talk about number 3 here in a minute, and this is going to tie into number 2. But when you realize just how little you know, and you accept that and you're aware of it, things can change. But that's something you got to be willing to accept about you right now. Here's the cool part. Just because I don't know a lot doesn't mean I can't build my business. But you know what I found out as I was looking to build a business and the things I needed to do? I realized I needed more than just me. Listen, I know that a lot of people like to talk about, like, be self-made. You could do all this on your own and da-da-da-da-da. Let me tell you something. It is very difficult to be everything that your business needs in order for the business to actually grow. What's interesting is a lot of people's little hobby that trying to turn from a hobby to a hustle to a business. It's on life support. Imagine if there was somebody that you knew that had been living all of their life on life support. 38 years, 45 years, 56 years. For 56 years, they've been on life support. And the most interesting thing about that, when you think about that concept, is you got 2 options. You either do something so that you can be better, or unfortunately, you pull the plug. I don't want you to pull the plug on your business because you're not willing to get help. All right? Listen, yes, you don't know everything. You don't know how to market. You don't know what you need to do. You don't understand social media. You don't understand a website. You don't understand a customer journey. You don't understand how to sell. You don't understand marketing. You don't understand these things. You don't understand color choices. You don't understand copy and language and how to talk to people. You don't understand that stuff. You don't understand how to hire. You don't even understand how to lead people. And most people go, I know how to lead people. I lead my kids and my family. Well, if it's somebody that you paying and somebody that don't really need you, takes a different kind of skill. It's different when other people got options. So my point is we all got to get better at just accepting the fact that, you know what, I don't know enough. I know very little. But am I willing to grow into things that will move the needle for me? For example, all them things I mentioned, what is the opposite? The opposite of me knowing, understanding, and coming to the awareness that I know very little, the opposite is saying, I accept that. The opposite is saying there's somebody that knows how to market. They know social media. They understand websites. They understand customer journey. They know how to talk the language of a customer. They know how to hit pain points. I need to go ingratiate myself with the people who know the things that I don't know. All right. That's number 2. These are just the 4 basics. All right. I'm going to go backwards because I want to make sure that we covering this stuff so that way you know exactly what you need to do. Okay. So number 1 was you realize who you've been hanging out with this whole time. I've talked about that, but that can be very, very difficult to accept for a lot of people, okay? Number 2 is how little you really know about actually building a business. Building a business is not just getting a transaction and a sale. There's so many more layers to it, right? Number 3 ties into this. Real ownership. Listen, let me tell you something. I figured this out. This is a terrible story to tell, but I'm gonna tell y'all anyway. Cause y'all been rocking with me for a minute. There was a time, I remember I grew up poor, man. Like we didn't have a lot. Like now I didn't know we were poor because my mother did everything, absolutely everything to make sure that we enjoyed life and all that stuff. But listen, I'm the youngest of 6 boys, no girls in the house, a single mama for quite some time. In and out of, just different situations. Listen, it was not pretty. And I remember one time, you ever had your mama ever say to you, hey, don't answer the phone when you come home from school. Don't answer the door, right? You wait until I call you or whatever. And that was that, right? And as a kid, you're like, okay, you just did it. Well, at first we thought, oh, she's trying to protect me. What I realized was, well, you ever heard of the repo man, the person that comes and repossesses stuff from your house? Well, guess what? At that time, when I was a kid, here's what happened. I answered the door one day, and there was a stranger at the door. And when I answered the door, the guy goes, hey, is this the home of such and such? I said, yes, it is. Oh, well, we're here to pick up some of the stuff. And I'm going, what do you mean? I'm naive as all get out. Tell me if y'all ever been through this as a kid, right? Well, what I didn't know then, what I know now was most of the stuff in our home, we rented. Okay? We were renting it. We didn't own it. What do I mean? I mean the couch. Yeah, I mean the TV. I mean the plants, some of the lamps, the nightstands that held those lamps, the washer and dryer, the beds that we slept in. I'm talking about a significant portion of our home, the rug on underneath the coffee table and the coffee table as well, and the 2 end tables of the couch. I'm just giving y'all my life, but I'm being honest. And so by the time they cleaned out our house, there was nothing there. We didn't own it. And so when I say real ownership, like this is business basics, y'all. When I say real ownership, I mean owning the entire thing. That means you own all the failures. You own all the problems in your business. You own all the successes. You own all the awards. But you also own all the customer responses. You own all the customer feedback. You own everything and perspective that people have about your business, even if it's wrong. Well, how do I own, somebody's perspective if it's wrong? Because I'm gonna tell you something. Even in the things that we don't like to hear, there's a little bit of truth there. And the one thing that I learned a lot about business when I got started was if I wasn't willing to own the entire thing, it'll never be mine. I'll always be chasing the thing or the person or the advice or this or that. When I talk about real ownership in your business, you own the entire thing. And you got to step up to the plate each and every day. By the way, that means you also own if there's a complaint that comes in at 2 a.m. You own a complaint while you're on vacation. You own a customer that needed something because your website went down while you were on vacation. You own the entire business. Now, here's the issue when you're working a side business and you're learning this stuff. In your day job, you typically don't own anything. Yeah, you own a little bit of the delivery of what you have, but you know what happens typically? Most people have somebody else that they can point to and blame for why something didn't get done, or this project was terrible, or this deliverable didn't get done. Like there's always some finger pointing going on. And it takes a special kind of person to own the entire thing, to say, nope, it stops with me. Nope, I did that. I was wrong. You okay with that? I'm just stating the facts. All right. Okay. So we've gone through 3 of them. All right. We've gone through 3 business basics. I'll recap these 3, and then we're going to talk about this last one. All right. Here we go. So number 1 is you realize who you've been hanging out with this whole time. That's a pro to some people, and that's a con to others. Don't be upset with them because they're not wrong, and neither are you. Just because they're not choosing to change just because you started a business, oh well, but that doesn't mean you're wrong for wanting to start a business and want to grow your income and want to do more than just your salary. So it's all good. Number 2 of the 4 business basics, you realize just how little you know. Listen, this is one of the biggest ahas to me, probably in about a year and a half into my first real business. I knew very little. I didn't understand a lot of things, and I needed help, but I was willing to go get help. All right. Number 3 is real ownership. You got to own the entire thing about your business. I own everything about this podcast. I own every thumbnail, every comment. I own every title. I own every time I upload. I own every download. I own all of that. I'm willing to accept what comes with building out this business. Now, here's number 4. And I'm going to tell you number 4 is one of the ones that took me a while to really accept. But when I finally did, I will say it's a hard pill to swallow. Number 4 is this. It's going to cost you more than you planned for. All right? It's going to cost you, your business is going to cost you way more than you planned for. Way more. Whatever you're thinking right now, triple it. Well, what do you mean by that? How is it going to cost me more than what I planned for? Well, here's something I want you to consider when you start thinking about building your business, right? It's not just the cost monetarily that you got to consider. Yeah, it costs money to buy systems and processes, monthly charges that you're going to have for certain things that you got to put into your account. So, think about it this way. Like I got funnels that I'm running, but it's not just the funnel that costs every month on the platform I'm using. I use ClickFunnels. It's the email services. It's the plugins. It's all the things that it takes in order to be able to get communication sent out. It's everything, right? Now, email addresses cost money, right? That's monetary. I'm not just saying that, right? The systems that you buy, the processes that you put in place. There's other things. If you really want to get good, you'll hire a coach ASAP. And you know what that coach is probably going to do if they're a good coach? They're going to force you to be accountable to the things that you want. And they're going to tell you things that sound really, really strange to you, but to them, they make sense. It's going to cost you what you currently know right now. You willing to pay that price? It's going to cost you a little bit of